We're talking about it in part because Nature News published a piece this week headlined, "Toxic Workplaces Are Biggest Reason Women Leave Academia." So far, I have shared with you various little bits and pieces from the paper that headline is based on. And what I find is there's not that much difference in the leaving by sex. But even when there's no difference in terms of whether men or women are leaving more, there's some differences in what they report about why they left. And men are more likely to say I left for professional reasons, and women are more likely to, early in career, more likely to say work-life balance, which is something we've all heard a lot about it and makes some sense. But late in career, it's this third thing that no one was talking about until now, which is work environment, work climate. So I went to the supplemental material, which, hold on, did I get to the end? Yeah. I went to the supplemental material here. There's survey items that they actually asked people. Actually, I'll scroll so you can't see. So under professional stress, is that you maybe had to produce too many papers, get funding, your institution wanted you to work on particular topics, you weren't recognized, your salary wasn't good enough, you weren't getting your work accepted, you didn't feel like your department was providing administrative support. All of those make sense and aren't based on feels. Right. Poor administrative support. I could see how your feels could be a part of that, but there's also just like, are there enough support staff to do the kind of work that needs to be done? Or are you left doing things that you were told when you were hired, for instance, you wouldn't have to do for yourself? Right. Work-life stress associated with balancing work and life, caring responsibilities. You got the two-body problem where maybe you're both in fields that are somewhat rarefied and they need to move, and you're like, I got to move too. Lack of time for hobbies and interests, amount of time you have to work, lack of leave time, and then personal issues. So all of those make sense. And again, some of them are subjective for sure, but you can point to them and say, you know what, I just wanted more time to surf, right? I just wanted more time to actually spend time with my kids, or to think about whether or not this is what I want to be doing, because it looks to me like if I keep doing this forever, I'm going to wake up in 30 years and not have done anything else, right? Professional stress, work-life stress, and then climate stress, the one that we are told that is the big difference, where women are more likely to report these things than men. The basis, again, before I show you, the basis for which that Nature News article said it's workplace toxicity. That's why women leave. We have dysfunctional departmental culture or leadership. Well, yeah, pretty much all of them. That's academia for you. Feeling the new need to prove myself. Feeling that people like me don't belong or fit in my department. Feeling that people like me don't belong or fit in my department. Feeling that people like me don't belong or fit in my institution. Feeling that people like me don't belong or fit in my academic field. Harassment, discrimination, how competitive academia is, constant criticism, comparisons, rejections. So the three of those that I have not highlighted, dysfunctional departmental culture, harassment, and discrimination, are plausibly not entirely subjective. Certainly sometimes they are not entirely subjective. The rest of these, the basis for which we have a Nature News headline claiming that workplace toxicity is why women leave academia, because women are more likely to answer yes to, I feel that people like me don't belong here. And it's just so competitive. This is such insanity. Mm-hmm. This is playing into such crazy, regressive, stereotypical female tropes about how women behave and what they're willing to do to get their way. And Nature News is buying into it. This research is garbage. This survey was garbage. And they had, under professional stress and work-life stress, a number of things that are real. And in this third category, almost nothing here is based on anything but, I just don't feel like this is the thing for me. Furthermore, these are leading questions. Mm-hmm. How many people are going to say, well, yeah, actually, I didn't really feel like I belonged. Now that you put it that way, yeah, that is why I left.
Well, and the problem is that the work, if you can call it work.
This research.
Yeah. Like all this stuff is designed to create a pretext for remedies that are desired. And the point is, this becomes increasingly a welfare program where people create bullshit scholarship for which they feel entitled to be paid, entitled to get benefits. So they are parasites on the university system, on society, and what they are producing as a result of their parasitism is pretext for further parasitism.
Yes.
And this is midway in there.
It's a jobs program.
It is a make work program. It's not even a jobs program because
they're going to get benefits.
They have a nominal job, but it is a job that does not need to be done.
Right.
In fact, civilization would be better off if it weren't.
Right.
Well, it's not like the WPA where a bunch of things that need to be
make
done.
work, you don't necessarily get paid for. I think we're saying the same thing. We just have different connotations for what these terms mean. For me, a jobs program is like, oh, I just need to figure out a pretext for getting paid. And I'm like, well, this is it.
Yep. But the idea, you could twiddle your thumbs for a salary that you didn't deserve. And in fact, people in the tech sector talk about the huge number of people who don't do anything. And, people talk about the fact that Elon Musk fired a huge fraction of the staff and Twitter got better, not worse. Yeah. So apparently they weren't doing anything productive. So there's not doing anything productive. And then there is doing something destructive in the very system that is paying you to do that work, right? Yeah. You are a paid saboteur.
Yep.
And, I must tell you, my reaction overall is this system is so broken to begin with. It's scientifically broken before you even get to the fields that don't really exist and are attacking science.
Right.
And the scientists aren't even ready to defend themselves and say, no, I'm sorry, stop messing around with sex. We actually understand this, and you're not allowed from some other field to, lob hand grenades in. Actually, there are two sexes. We know how to define them. We know a lot about what they mean. And, you can go have your little discussion elsewhere, but you're not going to get us to change what we say to students about whether there are two sexes. There are, right? Yeah. That's what they should be saying, but they don't. So the scientists are pitiful because they won't stand up for themselves. They're too cowardly to just simply even stick up for the truth.
Yep.
And the saboteur fields are on the march and taking over the thing. And the real question is, look, I'm sorry, we do need a university system, but we don't have one. Yep. And pretending that it is one doesn't help. And pretending that you could rescue this one, rescue it really? All these cowards? You're going to free them from something and they're going to go back to work? I don't think so. I don't even think they remember what work is.
I mean, this is, you and I have said this over and over again, but people often say when, various projects about, creating a new university. Oh, but, is there going to be demand? It's like, oh, there's demand.
Yeah. There
will be so many students in an actual functioning university. Will there be sufficient faculty?
Yeah.
That is what we are going to have a dearth of. Mm-hmm. And we need a lot more students than we need faculty, but we're going to have a harder time getting a functioning university filled with actually competent and courageous faculty because we've ruined a whole generation of faculty. And yes, we're in the process of ruining a whole generation of college-age students as well. And they're ruined in a different way and in some ways more completely. But the faculty, once they're in their little fiefdoms of their classrooms, get to completely destroy people. And they're doing it.
Well, this is a classic. It's actually worse than that because the reason that there are not enough people to staff a proper university were you to start one, it's not that those people don't exist. It's that if you assume that an academic has an academic degree, then you're taking people, all of whom have been lobotomized by the process that trained them. There are lots of smart people who could do a bang-up job of educating people, but who are you going to hire to figure out who they are, right? Because the fact is they don't have degrees. They did other things. They actually, they in large measure were driven out by the idiocy of the system as it stands, and they went and did something else. Some of them have no degree at all.
Yeah, but the accreditation process says you risk losing your accreditation if you've got non-terminally degreed people teaching your classes. I remember actually at Evergreen, you wanted to teach with a friend of ours. It was brilliant, and it was going to be an amazing program, but he doesn't, he just had a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
And, the admin powers that be are like, we can't do this. Like, even though this would be one of the most extraordinary programs that has ever been taught. Nope, certainly can't. Nope.
Right. So, it's a system that is in a death spiral because the correct move is actually forbidden, which is to figure out who's actually still smart. Right, you are required to search a landscape of people who were foolish enough to continue to sign up the rules in an era of increasing sophistry.
Yeah. This is just more sophistry, but I'm going to share one more piece of sophistry from the same paper before we move on. Just the very next page here. This was you were shown table S9 from the supplemental material just now, and if I just scroll down one more page, this is 63 pages of supplemental material. Survey data cleaning. They did a number of data cleaning choices, including about gender. 3 out of the 6,570 men in our survey indicated that they are transgender men. 1 out of the 3,480 women in our survey indicated that they are a transgender woman. And 1 of the women in our survey indicated they are woman and non-binary. While these 5 individuals used the prefer to self-describe box in order to describe their gender, we also included them in the binary gender categories that they mentioned in their descriptions. Including participants who self-reported these additional aspects of their gender identities into men and women categories allows us to respect their status as men and women. Which, these numbers are tiny,
Right.
but that nullifies anything else that they have done.
Right.
Right
And
there.
the point is, the fact that the numbers are tiny means it probably didn't change things much,
Exactly.
but they do not say, in light of, the right thing to do would be to exclude them. But of course, that would be transphobic or whatever. So the fact that they include them says that they are more committed to saluting the correct flag than they are to actually discovering anything. And, this is...
Respecting their status as men and women, which they're not.
So wait a second.
I mean, they're one of them, but they're not the one they say they are.
If you go back to the thing that I was saying about you start renaming stuff and you make it impossible to actually reconstruct history
Right.
or to track a particular creature, because now they have a name that nobody can say because somebody might feel hurt about it, so you can't figure out the scholarship on that creature before the name change, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
The idea that we are going to include you under the gender that you self-describe means that we are no longer going to be able to figure out anything about sex differences. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
100%.
And so the point is, it's like...
I bet all the people who identify as the sex that they are not are more likely to say, oh, it's about a toxic work environment.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way. They're wielding an argument, right, about sex not being a thing.
Right.
Right? And then they're going to make sex not a thing at the level of the data. Right? And then they're going to say, see, it's in the data. Right?
there.
No difference between men and women. And then that's
Who looks at the supplemental materials? 63 pages of supplemental materials. Who looks there?
right. So anyway, the point is, it's another attack on our ability to understand even what's true. Right? Never mind whether it's fair. Let's just figure out what's true, and then we can talk about whether it's fair.
Right.
But you're not even going to be able to know.
True first.
Yeah, true would be first.
True
But the
has to
point
come
is
first.
That this is the proof that once again, the purpose of the exercise is not the one that we all think academics has. The saboteurs have flipped the purpose.
Right.
The purpose is to advance a particular story, and to the extent that the truth gets in the way, they're going to disrupt our ability to even know what it is.